Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I am your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I am so grateful to be joining you on this Tuesday afternoon. In the midst of an Arizona State football bye week, the Sun Devils are set to take a week off following a 4-1 start. That includes a loss to a Mississippi State team that has clearly been undervalued by the nation, and two victories against Baylor and TCU that will serve the Sun Devils well moving forward. Regardless of the outcome of the season, they defeated the two best quarterbacks in the conference, not named Sam Leavitt. They jump-started a potential run that could carry them through major games against Utah and Texas Tech, my mistake. And we will talk about Utah briefly in a few minutes, talking about the matchup that is to be. But the Sun Devils are in a great position right now, especially considering they haven't yet fully hit their stride to become the team that we thought they could be heading into the season, especially when talking about complementary football on a consistent basis. But as Kenny Dillingham said, good teams pick it up on one side when the other side isn't necessarily at its best. Great teams have both playing off of each other, not perfectly, but quite seamlessly. And that's what the Sun Devils are striving for heading into week 6 of the season. There are things that the coaches want to clean up regarding the team. Brian Ward, the defensive coordinator, spoke to us after practice today. Coach Kinney spoke to us after practice today, and the star of the week in edge rusher Prince Dorbah spoke to us this week as well. And there was a lot to take out of it. And particularly, I wanted to talk about the Utah matchup. Dillingham on Monday talked about how Utah's offense is quite a bit different this season compared to last season. Obviously, when you bring in a quarterback as dynamic as Devin Dampier, it changes things, and you need to adapt the system to him more than adapting him to fit the system. And that's just how it has to go for the Utes. But he talked about how they're returning to something of what it looked like during the Alex Smith era back in 2004, about 20 years ago. And he also talked about how Dampier can throw the ball downfield. He creates a +1 run. He's athletic. Dampier has just improved overall as a passer. You don't even have to watch the film. The numbers speak for itself. He's making much better decisions this year. He's more efficient, and he's picking his spots better, and that's with the film. Last year, he wasn't as turnover prone as the stat sheet makes it seem, but he had a couple of really, really disastrous games that ended up padding his turnover total, and rightfully so, gave people a little bit of pause when discussing what they really could be as an offense this season in Utah, obviously, as they lost Cam Rising. Cam Rising never really got going after suffering a 2023 season-ending injury in 2022 in the Rose Bowl. He had two phenomenal seasons and then 2 seasons that were riddled with uncertainty and lots of strife, and now they have turned the page. Isaac Wilson, Bryson Barnes, none of them are with the Utah program anymore, and Devin Dampier has them looking to contend for a Big 12 title this season. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what Brian Ward had to talk about. But first, I also wanted to talk about Kenny Dillingham giving praise to Kyle Whittingham. So in Monday's press conference, Coach Dillingham discussed that, or was asked the question surrounding Kyle Whittingham and how much praise he's shown him in the past. And Dillingham was basically saying, you know how I feel about Coach Whittingham. He's one of the best of the generation. He's created a program that is a consistent winner and consistently respected around the nation. And I hope to create a program at Arizona State that mimics that to an extent. And that is high praise for Whittingham. He had a lot of pressure on him taking over for Urban Meyer when Meyer left for Florida. And in the 20 years since, he's been phenomenal. He's been absolutely phenomenal, especially in Utah's transition to the Pac-12. Utah became one of the most prominent programs in a conference that historically, before the collapse, was the best athletic conference in the nation. Just looking at 1910 until now. It just was, and Utah was consistently in the conversation for conference titles alongside USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, all the usual suspects. Utah came in and they really did their thing. And Kyle Whittingham deserves a lot of credit for that. And seeing how he adapted this year and bringing Devin Dampier and Dampier's offensive coordinator with him to Utah, that just shows he still has it. Despite potential rumors of an impending retirement, he has set up the Utah program to be successful for years to come. And he is the second longest tenured coach in all of college football for a reason. Only Kirk Ferentz of Iowa has served more seasons as a head coach at the same program. And Whittingham is just a special coach. And I can absolutely see why Dillingham aspires to be similar to him. And that leaves a segue into talking about what Brian Ward believes the Sun Devils need to improve heading into the Utah game specifically. So we all know Utah's going to push pace this season behind Dampier. They're going to take downfield shots with Dampier. They're going to run a lot of read options, a lot of zone reads, a lot of triple options. They have the flexibility to do that, as they have two All-American level tackles in Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu. And it's going to be a challenge facing the Utah offense. Also, the crowd. Utah is known for having one of the most underrated home field advantages in all of college football. And that's a known disadvantage that the Sun Devils potentially might have, especially playing a night game in Salt Lake City. We'll see what happens, but Ward talked about more of the tactical things that the Sun Devils need to improve on after practice, and this is what he had to say. We got to get better at our red zone execution. We have to get better. We got to be able to get lined up versus different alignments from the offense, and we missed one down in the red zone, and it screwed a couple of other plays up. And 3 guys ended up being wrong, and they scored a touchdown 7 yards out. We gave up another run in the red zone, which we just don't do. We gave them 7 to 7 yard touchdown runs. If we just get our fence right, we get into third down, both those situations, and I like our chances on third down in the red zone. So he's just talking about cleaning up goal-to-go situations, being able to defend different alignments, just some nitpicking things really, because that touchdown that TCU scored, if I remember right, was the last one that they scored all day. The Sun Devil defense came through every single time they needed to, for the most part, in the second half. The run defense continues to be one of the absolute best in the nation. The pass defense has found its stride even without Montana Warren and Xavier Alford. Kendrick Breedlove and Boogie Wilson have both been absolutely phenomenal in their roles. Keith Abney, not enough can be said about him. He's probably been the single best defender on the Arizona State roster to this point of the season. Certainly the most consistent, but probably the best as well. And Brian Ward's defense is just stepping up. There's not enough good things to say about that unit. And I have all the faith in the Sun Devil defense to step up over the rest of the season. Sun Devil fans should have faith in that, and it's going to be a very, very interesting next 60 days or so of the regular season, and I'm so excited to be covering it for you, because of you, and with you. And that is really all I have for today. Just wanted to break down practice a little bit, what is said after practice, the preparations for Utah, And I hope that was informative. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.